Hi, for today, I wanted to talk about left hand posture. So, there are a lot of issues that come out of poor left hand posture. And so I just want to address it quickly, but you know me, I'm never really actually quick. But I just want to address it briefly that first of all, you should have kind of a natural, I call this a check mark or a tree branch shape. And when the violin, the neck rests here, you should have a bit of a gap down here. I call that the bunny hole with my young ones. And the thumb should not be overly, tightening. Like you shouldn't have to feel like you have to grab this way. We never want to try to grab this way. We just keep a shape. And then the violin rests on it. There's no grabbing going on. I do have more in-depth videos. They're older, but they're still, I think, very helpful. So if you'd like to watch them, I will leave it at the end for you. And you can just click on it at the very end. But so the other thing you want to watch out for is not like pressing this thumb. So this is like against the neck. You don't want to bend your thumb and be pressing too much. I have a couple students right now who are doing that, so want to be careful of that. We also don't want to be pinching. Okay. Another thing you want to look out for is if your thumb is super tall. So here's the here's the neck, and then the thumb is sticking out really, really tall. I call that the Jolly Green Giant. For those of you who are at least my age or older, you guys know who I'm talking about. So you want to kind of shorten that thumb to just be peeking over the neck, or actually some people go more extreme and they put it sort of on the side and under the neck. I always say every hand is different. Every person's physiology is different. And so what happens is you have to find the one that works for you, because the taller the thumb is, the shorter the fingers get on the string. Right? If the thumb is shorter, then the fingers have more leverage. The fingers also, if thumb is high, the fingers come at the string at a weird angle. It's kind of coming this way. And what you want to do is make sure your fingers are kind of up on top of the string. Kind of like all, in a row like that, so they can all sit in a straight line, literally having your ducks in a row. That's why, in my opinion, those exercises that are like Shrediak and some of the Sevchik ones for the left hand, they're kind of very like back and forth noodly, just have like one line of various notes. I think those are so good to check if your left hand posture is right. That way, if you're able to, pass between all your fingers in different orders and combinations, and they don't have trouble, then I think you might be on the right track. That's a very, very good sign that your left hand shape is good. The other thing I want you to think about, let me grab a pen here, is that I know that there's a great degree of difference between violin pedagogues, and I tend to have, like a little bit more of a medium to sometimes flatter finger pad, approach, but it's great to have a nice tall one as well. This is kind of like the square fingers, like the Golamian, the old Golamian approach. And getting your fingers nice and tall will, I think, help them get lined up properly. If you need to change, right, I think it's easier to have them a little bit too tall as long as you're not too tight. There's not too much tension involved, and it's easier to go from this to kind of relaxing them into a more of a spread out posture. I think it's hard to go from this one to a more curled posture, but I don't know, maybe it's my own opinion. And also what you want to do is make sure your fingers are kind of fanning out like that, and that they're sitting down in the right position. Now, this is what I mean. When I was young, one of my challenges was my first finger, and especially on the E string. This is why I avoid teaching my students to play on the E string as much as possible in the beginning. I want them to kind of form a nice, finger posture. So I usually start on the A. D is okay also on the A string, D string. But on the E string, the first finger really has to curl. I really feel like it's coiling up like a pig's tail here. And if it doesn't do that, if it kind of relaxes a little bit, like this is me with my first finger relaxed, that's a great distance between the neck sits here, right? And then the fingers over here. So you want to make sure that your finger is nice and tall on the E string without being tight. I know it's hard to do. And the reason for that is if the first finger is kind of like coming out like this, then when I play the next finger, he can't properly go and do the proper actions on the string. So I have to kind of bring everybody back this way. So on the first finger, I'm twisting, and then on the second finger, I'm twisting back. And then the third finger, I might have another, like I might be leaning or something. So you definitely don't want to have different postures for each finger, because then, the idea is to just be able to go brrrr, and that's why when you see violinists play fast, like fast scales and arpeggios and things, it's impressive because their fingers have been trained to just kind of like fire like pistons, so they're just dropping and lifting. Now if you're doing that properly, then what's going to happen, I'll show you, and they're going to sit on the string where I've marked it with the pen. So what you'll see is that it's the thumb side. You want to be letting your finger sit down on the thumb side. And what that does is it allows your fingers to fan out easily like this. If they're sitting on the other side, they have to kind of twist this way, and they're leaning towards the front. And I see a few of my students doing this, and I have to keep kind of correcting them. So we just do some finger lifts like this, just one at a time, and we see if we can get the fingers to sit down this way. If you look at your nail, it's gonna be like more over here, and here, and here, and here. If you find that all your calluses are on this side, then that's proof. All my calluses are on this side. Okay? If you find yourself having difficulty playing in tune across the strings, like going from E string to D string to G string, that you may not be using your arm as a unit. So you shouldn't have to be twisting at all this way in order to play on different strings and playing, all across 4 strings. You should be able to just play like this. And so that's done by making sure your elbow is coming towards the front on the G string, and your elbows going towards the back behind your violin on the E string. It's just a little bit of an angle, but it's just enough to keep all your fingers and everything in a good shape. If not, then your hand and your fingers have to do all the work, and that's like having to do 4 things, right? But 16 different ways, because 4 times 4, 16. So if you have to put your first finger, for example, one way on the E string, and then you have to change the angle on the A string, then you have to change it to a new angle on the D and a new angle on the G, that's 4 different things that your muscle memory has to, keep in the memory bank, and that's just too complicated. So you definitely want to streamline everything, and hopefully you'll see some results. Now, changing a habit is very challenging, especially left hand posture and bow hold posture, overall standing posture. It's so hard to change. And so you just do it a little bit at a time. Just so maybe if you'd like to know more, I can do a part 2 to this and show you how to start new habits. So like even if you're just gonna change a little bit of your form a little bit, your posture, whether it's right hand, left hand, right arm, left arm, shoulders, even head, back, even feet. These are all super important. And so if you want to know how I do it with my students, with hopefully less frustration, the least amount of frustration possible, I can go ahead and discuss that as well. Okay, great. Have a great day and see you tomorrow.